Are you thinking about getting a rooftop tent for your car, but not sure which one to get? Perhaps you're not sure whether a soft shell or a hard shell tent is your best bet. Well, in this video, I'll explain to you the key differences between soft shell and hard shell tents to help you figure out which one is best for you. Then, I'll run you through the best rooftop tents in Australia, both soft and hard shells, explain to you the pros and cons of each, plus let you know which ones I recommend. Sound good? Let's get straight into it. Before we start talking about individual models, let's first talk about soft shell versus hard shell tents. Essentially, hard shell tents are great for those who are on the move a lot and will be changing campsites regularly and really will appreciate that ease of setup and ease of pack down. If you do want to save money, however, or you expect to be in one place for a decent amount of time, then perhaps consider going with a soft shell tent. So, with that in mind, let's now take a look at a few of the most popular rooftop tents in Australia. There are 4 soft shell and 3 hard shell rooftop tents that I would like to show you. And let's start with the soft shells first. So first up we have the Darche Panorama. This is one of the most popular rooftop tents in Australia, and with good reason. It's made from thick 340 GSM canvas, it's well built, and it can be oriented in any direction to suit your setup. It's backed by a 2-year warranty. Next up is the Adventure Kings Rooftop Tent. This is a very popular option for those who want a rooftop tent but don't have the budget to afford some of the more premium models. It's very affordable, spacious, and quite light as well. Unfortunately, the build quality isn't quite as good, although that's to be expected when you consider the low price. Next up is the ARB Simpson 3. This is a premium option from ARB that has been well designed. It sits very well on your roof racks with little to no swaying while you're driving. Unfortunately, it is made from thinner canvas than the competition, and it is substantially heavier, weighing in at a hefty 81 kilograms. Last up in the soft shells is the 230 Dakota 1400. This tent takes the functionality of the other tents and adds a little comfort and style, which is quite nice. It comes with a large sky roof and windows to let you look up at the stars while relaxing on the thick mattress that they have included. It also has light suppression technology built into it, into the material, which means that you won't get woken up at first light. The downsides of this tent are that the sleeping area is smaller, and it is made from a thinner canvas as well. So those are the soft shell tents. Next up we have 3 hard shell tents. First up is another one by Adventure Kings, the Kings Kwiky Hard Shell Tent. And this is definitely one of the most popular hard shell rooftop tents in Australia. It is very affordable and it is super easy to set up. Unfortunately, the sleeping area is quite small, and it is a bit tight for 2 people in my opinion. There were quality issues with the Mark I version of this tent, but Kings claim to have fixed this in the new Mark II version. Next up is the Easy On Dart. Unlike the regular rectangular shape of most hard shell rooftop tents, the Easy On Dart actually has a wedge-like triangular shape, so it looks a little bit like this. It is more spacious than the Quickie, comes with a very thick 80mm mattress, and is made from quality materials including YKK zippers. It is unfortunately a fairly expensive option. Next up is the James Baroud Grand Raid Evolution. Made in Portugal, the James Baroud range are really premium, definitely premium rooftop tents. The build quality is incredibly high, and they come with plenty of extra features like a solar-powered ventilation fan, removable and rechargeable LED torch, plus optional thermal insulation for winter camping. They are covered by a 5-year warranty on the whole fabric and mechanism. The only real downside of these tents is that they are very, very expensive. Anyway, now that we know a little bit about each of these tents, let's take a look at how they compare against each other. Alright, so first what we've got up here is a comparison of the price of each of these tents, and as you can see there is a pretty huge difference in the price of a couple of these. So on the left over here we have the 4 soft shell rooftop tents, and then over on the right here I've got the 3 hard shell tents. And you can see that the just generally speaking, the soft shell tents are quite a bit cheaper than the hard shell tents. Though mind you, I have chosen a couple of particularly expensive hard shells to add to this list, so it does skew the data a little bit, but the soft shells are generally as a rule cheaper than the hard shell tents. But even within the soft shells, you can see there's a pretty big difference. The cheapest is definitely the Kings Rooftop Tent, which is down at about $900 here. And then you've got the Daichi Panorama, which is up at about $2,000. So there's a fair old variation just in there. And then the hard shells, you can see that the Quickie is the budget option down here at $1,400. And, you know, things can go all the way up to about $6,000 even with the James Baroud range up there. I don't have an exact price for them, but that's approximately what they go for, from what I understand. Do keep in mind that these prices are correct at the time of me filming this video. Please check out the video description below for the latest prices, as well as a link to my website, outdoorexplorer.com.au, where you can see the latest price comparison amongst all of the retailers that stock these tents. So yeah, big variation in the price between these tents here, but how do they stack up on the rest of the parameters that I'm looking at here? Let's take a look. So next up is the internal area of the tent. So this is kind of how much room you have inside the tent in square meters. And you can see that the soft shell tents are generally roomier than the hard shell tents there. Although if you do go towards the more premium end of the hard shell tents, you do get still a decent footprint to work with. So yeah, I don't have any data on the ARB Simpson 3 tent. Unfortunately, they don't seem to provide that data for the internal area, but I would imagine that it's probably similar to the Panorama or the Dakota 1400 in that 3 to 3.5 square meter range. The Kings Rooftop Tent is surprisingly large inside, considering how cheap it is at 4.5 square meters. So that's kind of a good pro for that tent. The Quickie, the Kings Kwiky is the hardshell one, is quite a small tent in my opinion. It's quite narrow. I think the width of it is only just over 1 meter wide, which is really quite narrow for two people to sleep side by side. If you think about a standard double bed, it's about 1.4 meters wide. So the Quickie there is only 1 meter wide, so it's fairly narrow. And yeah, so just keep that in mind. Next up is the internal head height, and this is a measure of how much space you have inside the tent. The higher it is, the better, obviously. You feel more roomy inside. You don't feel like it's quite so claustrophobic. The soft shells are all sitting in that 120 to 130-ish kind of range there, which is pretty good and about what you'd expect. The Quickie and the James Baroud are both quite squat, really. They're quite low ceilinged tents at less than 1 meter high. So, you know, it's a bit hard even to fully sit up there and like read a book or something inside the tents, as the ceiling is fairly low in them. So just keep that in mind. This is the packed area, and this is kind of how much area in square meters the tents take up when they are fully packed. This is kind of an indication of how much space you can expect these tents to occupy on your roof racks. And you can see that the soft shell tents there are quite a bit lower than the hard shell tents, and that makes sense as they fold up quite a bit, and they end up being quite a compact unit, which frees up quite a bit of space on your roof racks there to fit some other gear while you're traveling. The hard shells, of course, take up quite a bit more room. Yeah, with the Quickie being fairly low at 2.7 square meters, but yeah, once you get up into the more premium ones, the James Baroud, they do take up quite a bit more space there at about 3.6 square meters of your roof. Next up is the packed height, and this just gives you a feel for kind of the height when the unit is fully packed away. This is just an indication of kind of how much drag you can expect when you're driving on the highway, kind of how much extra resistance the wind is going to meet when it hits your car there. And you can see that most of them sit in a fairly standard kind of 30 to 35 centimeter packed height there. Do keep in mind that the hard shell tents tend to have a more aerodynamic profile at the front rather than just a square flat front. They do have a nicely shaped front, which means that they're probably a decent bit more aerodynamic. The Daichi Panorama actually packs down to quite a small height there at just 25 centimeters, which is definitely a pro for that tent. Now, weight. This will also add to the kind of total weight of your vehicle, the extra drag of your vehicle. It all means extra fuel consumption. So a higher weight is not good here because, yeah, you will burn through more fuel lugging it around. It also means that if you do need to take the tent, if you need to lift it on or off your car, it is going to be really heavy. And you can see that the ARB Simpson 3 there weighs 81 kilograms. It's the heaviest tent we've got here. So that is a bit of a monster. It's really heavy. It's tough to get on and off your car. But the other ones there in the soft shell tend to be quite a bit lighter. Yeah, so the ARB is really quite heavy for a soft shell. If you look at the other soft shells there, they're all in about 60 kilograms. and then the hard shells are probably around 70 kilograms. But yeah, the ARB is all the way up there at 80. Next up is the mattress thickness. All of these rooftop tents come with an included mattress, but the thickness and the comfort of these mattresses vary greatly. You can see there that there is a pretty big difference ranging from 50 millimeters all the way up to 80 millimeters. In saying that, the mattress thickness doesn't tell you the whole story, as the Kings Rooftop Tent, the soft shell one, has a fairly thick mattress at 75 millimeters, but a lot of people have complained that this mattress isn't very good quality, doesn't give you much padding or comfort or support, and they actually recommend, a lot of people recommend replacing this with another mattress if you are going to be using it for a while and want something that's decently comfortable. So do keep that in mind as well. Even though the Daichi Panorama only has a 50 millimeter mattress, I haven't really heard anyone complaining about the mattress being uncomfortable. So it may well end up being that mattress is better than the 75 millimeter Kings one. Oh, and you can just see there, before we move on, that the Easy On Dart and the James Baroud both come with a nice thick 80 millimeter mattress, and both of them seem to be quite good quality, which you would expect considering the price that you're paying for them. Setup time, I mean, I've just basically done this little graph here to show you that the hard shells are much faster at setting up than the soft shells there. They score much higher in that regard. You basically just open them up and let the gas struts do the work, and they'll open up the tent for you automatically. Whereas the soft shell ones require a fair bit of unfolding and pegging out to get them done. In saying that, it's only about 5 to 10 minutes of work, probably depending on the model that you're looking at. But compare that to seconds with the hard shell tents. Ventilation is another important one. Ventilation is important because you want to be able to release the moist air from your tent, first of all, overnight. Otherwise, you'll find condensation building up in your tent. And second of all, ventilation is important to ensure that you can get some fresh air, some cool air into your tent in summer and stop it from overheating. And that most of the tents are pretty good in terms of ventilation. There's not too much difference between them. They're mostly all made out of canvas, so they breathe pretty well and they all have windows. The James Baroud gets a special mention here, as it comes with a solar-powered ventilation fan that will automatically exchange the air inside your tent at quite a good rate there. And it is solar-powered, so you don't need to worry about it draining your 12-volt batteries or anything like that. So that's a nice little added bonus you get with that tent. The warranty is another interesting one here. There's a pretty big range in the warranties there. Darche Panorama comes in with a pretty standard 2-year warranty. The Kings ones only come with a single 1-year warranty. But you can see the James Baroud there comes with a 5-year warranty. Although be aware that this isn't on the entire unit. That is just on the whole, the mechanism and the fabric, I believe. They only give a 2-year warranty on the rest of the tent. So you might want to check the fine print on that one before you lock that one in. So yeah, just keep that in mind. There's quite a range of warranties there. Basically, the more expensive tents tend to come with a better warranty, as you would expect. Last up is the build quality, and this is just kind of a bit of a subjective measure based on my feel of how each of these tents are built, and speaking to people that have used these tents and what they think of them. The Kings Rooftop Tent, the soft shell one, has had a lot of bad press, kind of. It has a bit of a bad reputation, as a lot of people are saying that it does leak quite readily. Even if you do season the canvas, you will get leakage in this tent, and that they also just feel that the quality in general isn't as good as the other soft shell tents out there, which I think is probably fair enough, and probably what you'd expect when you consider that the price is half or a third of some of the other models out there. So yes, the quality is lower, but it is substantially cheaper, so it's up to you to make that call whether it's worth it or not. And the James Baroud, they just get a special mention for having just outstanding build quality. They're just made really well. I've never heard anyone say anything bad about them other than the price, of course. They are very expensive, but they are very well built. They come with a ton of extra features that other rooftop tents don't have. And yeah, they're widely loved by everyone. So yeah, that's how each of these tents compare. To sum it all up, I think that for the soft shell tents, the Daichi Panorama is the best option out there. It is well built yet lightweight, made from high quality canvas, and is backed by an excellent 2-year warranty. If you are on a tight budget, the Kings Rooftop Tent, soft shell rooftop tent, is another great option. it's very affordable and surprisingly spacious for how much you're paying. In terms of the hardshell tents, the Kings Mark II Quickie is the best balance of price and quality in my opinion. Just make sure that you do get that Mark II version, not the Mark I, which has the redesigned case, which means that you should be free of any issues there. Anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed this breakdown of the best rooftop tents in Australia. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them below. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a like and a subscribe. I would be really grateful. Thanks for watching.